Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make a slub knit cotton jersey hoodie, and then we're going to also make a bonus twofer spiral. I started by turning the hoodie inside out. That's just going to get all the seams on the outside. It just makes it a lot easier to smooth everything out. You can see where all of the seams are. Now I'm going to center the shirt by going with the sleeve inside the other sleeve technique. So I'm tucking one sleeve in to the other sleeve, and I'm going to line all that up. So I'm going to line up the cuffs, and then I'm going to line up the seams inside of the sleeve. I'm going to go up to the shoulder and line up those seams. I'm going to go down along the underarm and line up those seams, and down the side. Wherever there are seams, I'm going to try to match them up and make them line up. What this is doing is creating symmetry. So that way when you look at your shirt from the front, when it's all done, it's the same on the left side and the right side. And then on the back, it looks the same exact way. If you're brand new to tie-dyeing, long sleeves can seem really intimidating. I totally get it. But I'm here to tell you, don't be afraid. You just have to jump in and try it. All a long sleeve is just a little extension of a short sleeve. And hoodies also can be rather intimidating and can be difficult to work with. But this is a very lightweight material. It feels just like a t-shirt. So centering a shirt is probably the hardest step of the whole entire tie-dye process, and it just takes a little bit of practice. And even though I do these quite often, from project to project, some are just a little bit more difficult to work with. So just take your time, smooth everything out. Eventually, what you're going to have is a very nice, smooth surface to work with. And this is the foundation for your tie-dye. So you want to make sure to try to get this lined up as perfectly as possible, because it does make your end results look the best that they possibly can. The next step is to decide where you want the center of your pattern to be, and I like to come down about 2 or 3 inches from the underarm. And this particular shirt is going to be a diamond, so I just pick it straight up off the table and then flop it back down on the table, and I have the top of the hoodie up and the bottom of the hoodie is folded up under. And I'm just taking a washable marker and loosely marking out my pattern. This is just going to help me visually stay on task while doing my pleats. Now I'm going to pleat along this line that I just drew on, and I'm going to make my pleats about 1 inch tall. Now, you could get out your yardstick and make perfect measurements and all of that for your hoodie, but I just decided to just sort of wing it because I don't necessarily follow my washable marker lines anyways. You guys know that, so you don't even have to mark it out if you don't want to. Now, when you're pleating something like this that's been folded over, the fabric can be rather thick and it can be challenging. Just keep patient, do the very best that you can, and just do your best to just pleat along that line. If you have to, start over. You've seen me do that before. With this one, I got pretty lucky. I was able to do it on the first pass. And I'm also going to be securing this project by using rubber bands. I just find rubber bands to be quick and easy. And I do have links down below in the description box for everything that I use for tie-dye, so I recommend that you check that out. And I will also put a link down below for where you can purchase this sweatshirt. I started out by using my second favorite rubber bands, and as the project is becoming smaller, now I'm moving down into my stretched out baby hair rubber bands, and then I'll go down into my regular baby hair rubber bands. And they become stretched out when I apply heat with my electric blanket. They don't snap back to their original size, and I rinse and reuse all of my rubber bands. It's just wasteful to cut them, it's just not necessary. Now, you could use kite string, you could even use sinew if you wanted, but I don't want any white lines on this project. And it's getting kind of wonky because the zipper that's in it, I think it's made out of nylon or something. I don't know what it is. But it's causing the project to want to bend in weird shapes. So just do the very best you can. Now up here, when it comes to working on the sleeve, I'm going to shift directions a little bit, and I'm going to just do like an accordion pleat. This is going to create a nice different interest in the sleeve. I like to do this. You've seen me do it with my tapestries before. It just creates a different pattern, and I think it looks really cool to have multiple patterns in one project. Now it's time for the fun part and my favorite part. We get to add the dye. So I'm just going to be adding my dye in stripes of color. And you can pick any colors that you want for your project. You can pick as many colors as you want. You can just do one color. You can leave white space, whatever you want to do. But this is just how I made this particular project. And I'm going with my go-to colors that I really like to use, which is the purples and the greens and the blues. I just like the way they look, and I know that they dye very well. So let's talk about the setup for a second. So what I have here is the entire project is placed down inside of a bin or a tote, whatever you prefer to call it, which I picked up at Walmart, and it's about, I'd say, maybe 5 to 6 inches tall, so it's a really shallow bin. This is on an incline, not a steep incline. So the rack I got at Walmart as well, and it's one that goes into your kitchen cabinets, and it has legs, and I've just removed the legs. And the top of the rack I have hooked over the edge of the tote, and the bottom of the rack I have down inside the tote, but I have it elevated with an empty dye jar. The empty 2-ounce dye jars make great lifts for projects. That way the project doesn't sit down inside the muck water. Then I have the whole entire project surrounded by silicone cake molds that I got from Amazon. And yes, the link is down below in the description box for these cake molds. They're awesome. I love using these versus foil or cardboard because they're reusable. I can just wash them off with a little bit of Dawn dish soap, or I can wash them off and stick them in my dishwasher to really clean them. And then I'm using clothespins to attach it to the rack, and that way when I add my ice, the cake molds don't just push out and away, allowing all of the ice to fall through into the tote. And that's it. And then you just go to town with your dye, and I'll be quiet now and I'll just let you watch me do it. All right, do you guys want to hear a long story? Okay, well, I'm about to tell you. So, when I originally started on this hoodie, I had no intentions of doing a 2-for-1 type project. And actually, this is the very first 2-for-1 that I ever did. So, for those of you that follow the channel regularly, you've already seen me do this process before with a red, purple, and yellow project. This is actually the first one I ever did way back in October, and I did not feel like dragging Bella around to photograph the hoodie, so it has sat in my queue for a very, very long time. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking my spoon and I'm getting all of that dye to the center of the tote. I mean, that is just a lot of dye to just waste down into the muck water. And being that this was my very first time doing this method, I really wasn't quite sure what I was doing. But I decided to pull all of that loose dye to the center and then add a little bit of the Power Berry to the bottom, because Power Berry is a really nice dark purple. It's almost black. So what I'm trying to do is create black lines in my project. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit around, about the size of the spiral that I'm going to put down here in the bottom. Now, I had a spiral already tied up, sitting off to the side for a totally different project. So all I did was I just picked it up and I placed it right down into the tote. You don't necessarily have to have the cake molds in order to do this project, but since I had it already all wrapped up, I just went ahead and set it down in there without thinking. I kind of smushed all the dye around the bottom, just making sure that it was sticking to the shirt, because I want it to attach to the shirt and not just float around in the muck. It's probably a good idea to be wearing gloves during this process so you don't get your hands dirty, but it's okay. So next I give the project a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure, and I'm going to add my ice. And for this project, I'm using my Frigidaire Nugget Ice Machine ice. And since this project is on an incline, I like to add my ice starting at the bottom of the incline. That way, it doesn't knock the dye loose and have it roll downhill. I hope that makes sense. And I like to add enough ice to where I fill up the silicone cake molds and I don't see any fabric showing through. It's recommended that you let your project batch at 70 degrees or higher for at least 24 hours after the ice melts. And I like to let my projects batch for the full 48 hours, and this is what it looks like after 48 hours. Now it's time for the rinse out process, and you want to start by using cold water to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fabric, and then increase your water up to hot and rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. From here, I take it to the washing machine, and I like to do hot water cycles using Kirillon. Kirillon is a professional textile detergent. And then I like to do a final hot water cycle using Millsoft. And Millsoft is a professional fabric softener. And I do get both of those items from Dharma Trading Company, and there is a link down below in the description box for both of those. It just makes it easy for you guys to find. Then I will put the items in the dryer, and then I will iron them, and we'll come back and we'll see the results. For the spiral, I'm super excited. Remember, you guys, I said this was my very first time trying this particular method. And when I saw that really nice dark back and then the really nice bright top, I knew that I was going to have something very pretty. When you have a dark back like that, it's like a black back spiral, which creates those pretty dark lines running through the spiral. And the top turned out to be such a beautiful color. So I was really excited when I was rinsing it out. And I'm going to treat it exactly like I did the hoodie. The cold water rinse, then increase the water up to hot, rinse until it, runs pretty much clear, and take it to the washing machine with the hoodie, all of that, and do the entire process. But look at how gorgeous that looks already. Super duper exciting. Now, I want to touch on the rubber bands. I mentioned earlier that I do reuse all of my rubber bands, and I get asked quite a bit, is it okay to reuse your rubber bands? Of course. Just rinse them off really well, and then I have like a little tiny little piece of newspaper off to the side next to me where I pile up all of my rubber bands, and it turns into a mountain of rubber bands. And then one day I have to go sit down, organize all of them, and I put them back in their place. It's not fun to do, but I'm frugal. I don't want to waste money, so I think it's just best to reuse them. And then, you're just not being wasteful. So, I'm so excited for the reveal on these, you guys. It's going to be awesome. Well, here they are, guys. Here's our hoodie and our Twofer spiral after it's been washed and dried. And I think they both turned out amazing. The hoodie is so vibrant and beautiful, and the color combination is great. The pattern is pretty. It's awesome. I love it. Now, these pictures are on the kitchen floor, and they always turn out darker just because the lighting isn't very good and I'm really far away from it, but I just wanted to showcase the pattern on the sleeves. I think it created a nice contrast. Now, these are up close on the table underneath the ring light, so they're nice and bright and vibrant. So the truth of what it actually looks like is probably more what you're seeing here on the table. That's the hood. It looks gorgeous. And I always love the purples and the greens together. It's just my favorite combination. And the diamond pattern is absolutely beautiful. I couldn't be more pleased. But pay attention to how the fabric has texture to it. So certain things may not work flow-wise. And then this is the front and the back underneath the ring light. So it looks nice and bright. Now here is the freebie, the Twofer spiral. Look at that. I mean, I think it turned out absolutely fantastic. And all I had to do was spiral up a shirt, set it underneath, set it and forget it. And you end up with this really gorgeous shirt, kind of like for free. I'm just really super happy. Like I said, this was the very, very first set that I had ever done like this, and the fact that it turned out so beautiful with such little effort made me really, really happy. I'm super happy with the way the hoodie turned out and the spiral t-shirt turned out. And if you have not tried one of these freebies, what I call twofers, yet, I highly recommend that you do. And I would love to see your results in the Facebook group. So please share with me. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, I have a Facebook group, and it's called Belladonna Dyes Community Tie-Dye Group. It's a learning group. There are a lot of amazing people in there. We share our tips and tricks, and I think we all just make each other better tie-dyers. So go over there and check that out. Overall, I couldn't be more happy with the results of this set. What do you guys think? Please leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing!